Good evening and a very warm welcome. You're on India Matters on Tuesday night. I'm Shiv Arur. Let's get you straight to the top headlines I'm tracking at 8 p.m. Markets boom after Modi-Trump double-engine power tariff thaw. Sensex settles more than 2,000 points higher on the new trade deal euphoria after what has been a roller coaster for India-US relations. Commerce Minister says the trade deal with the US prioritizes India's interests. Piyush Goyal hits out at leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi, says the Congress MP is misleading the nation and spreading lies and negativity for no reason. Absolute mayhem in the Lok Sabha as Congress MPs protest Rahul Gandhi's speech being interrupted. 8 Congress MPs suspended for the rest of the budget session of Parliament for flinging papers and climbing onto the Lok Sabha chair's table. Election versus Trinamool Congress escalates. Mamata Banerjee to appear in Supreme Court tomorrow. Trinamool to seek impeachment of Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar over the SIR issue right before the Bengal elections. Big boost to Atmanirbhar Defence. Adani Defence and Aerospace enters into a strategic partnership with Italy's Leonardo to set up a comprehensive helicopter manufacturing ecosystem in India. Six years ago, the Chinese marched across the line of control in eastern Ladakh, occupied our territory, beat up the Indian army, which just stood there bruised and bewildered. Maps have been quietly redrawn, and India is now bowing to its Chinese military masters, who are now closing in on our cities in order to subjugate us to their will. Meanwhile, the Indian economy is dead, floundering, gasping for breath. Markets are a mirage. Investors are fleeing. India is limping along while the rest of the world watches with pity. And all this because India's youth are on the war path, desperate to overthrow this government, seething with rage, itching to storm the streets and install a new leadership. Campuses are now revolutionary hotbeds, the nation permanently one spark away from chaos. A national uprising by India's Yuva is coming. The Indian Prime Minister has surrendered everywhere and to everyone. He has surrendered to Beijing at the borders and to Washington across the oceans, transforming a once proud civilization into a country that takes dictation from the United States, saluting foreign leaders and signing away national interest with a meek smile. Democracy is dead because votes have been hijacked on an industrial scale, and the Constitution is apparently moments away from being mauled beyond recognition. We live, my friends, in a bleak, dystopian, apocalyptic India. Almost cinematic, except this is the India we live in, according to only one person, leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi. Now here is the inconvenient problem for Mr. Gandhi. It's called reality. The very army general Rahul has been quoting in Parliament over the last 48 hours, former Chief of the Army Staff, General Manoj Mukund Naravane, is on record saying not an inch of Indian territory has been lost to the Chinese, and that the Indian army fought back the Chinese bravely at every level. So if Rahul Gandhi believes the general's unpublished book, as he should, why does he ignore the general's words on China? The economy that Rahul calls dead is being described globally as one of the fastest growing major economies in the world. India today is a key driver of global growth, even as the world struggles in the post-COVID landscape. Even Trump has hailed India. The youth that Rahul expects to flood the streets are largely busy doing something else. They're not acting like the youth in Nepal and elsewhere. Here in India, the youth are studying, they're working, they're building startups, chasing opportunities, rising from poverty, trying to build better lives. Discontent most definitely exists. Anarchy does not. The Constitution is not under threat. It cannot, believe me, be mutilated by anyone at will. And that is precisely why it has survived wars, emergencies, coalitions, and collapses. And if votes were really being hijacked on the scale that Rahul Gandhi claims in election after election, does he honestly believe India's fiercely political electorate would sit quietly at home? Viewer, you and I have an honest and frank and open relationship. India has serious problems. Serious problems. You and I both know that. National security challenges, economic stress points, youth unemployment, democratic friction, all of those problems are real and cannot be wished away. They all demand scrutiny, all demand a sharp, smart, and measured opposition that knows how to corner the government and impose and demand accountability on behalf of the public. But if Prime Minister Modi had truly surrendered to China and Trump, why has India endured the world's biggest military standoff for 6 years and punishing tariffs from the United States that have only now been lifted? Exaggeration is the opposition's right. Rahul Gandhi indulges in it every single day. Hyperbole and extreme assertions is a temptation for the opposition, but painting India as a defeated, broken nation without a solid measure of truth drains all credibility from what Rahul Gandhi and the opposition is trying to do. The public doesn't buy it. Cry wolf too often and the public stops listening. A smart opposition corners the government with facts, not fantasy, because shouting India has surrendered or democracy is dead only hands the ruling party, the BJP, a full toss on a daily basis. You just saw the Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal speak not about the trade deal in specific, but only attacking Rahul Gandhi. Why? Because the new full toss of today, one they've been hitting for 12 years and counting.
The deal is done. After months of suspense and turbulence, India and the United States have reached a trade agreement. The tariffs on India have been reduced from 50% to 18%. And while the details of the deal are still being worked out, the government of India has made it clear that there will be zero compromise of the interest of Indian farmers.
भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था को, भारत के 140 करोड़ नागरिकों को, हर गरीब किसान, मछुआरा, गांव में रहने वाला युवा, युवती, हमारी बहनें, महिलाएं, सभी के लिए ढेर सारे अवसर लाने वाला ट्रेड डील माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कल तय किया।
अभी जो ट्रेड डील तय होगी है, इसमें से हमारे एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर पूरी तरह प्रोटेक्टेड हैं। जो हमारे कोर इंटरेस्ट हैं एग्रीकल्चर में और किसानों के जो इंटरेस्ट हैं और इनके जो हित हैं, उसमें बिल्कुल कोई असर नहीं होगा।
Despite the world hailing the tariff thaw, leader of the opposition in Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, is unimpressed. The Congress MP declared that the Prime Minister was under pressure to strike the deal.
नरेंद्र मोदी जी पर प्रेशर है, भयंकर प्रेशर है।
ये जब एक पार्लियामेंट सेशन में है, सरकार को आके बताना नहीं चाहिए। जब ट्रम्प कहते हैं कि एग्रीकल्चर में ये करेगा, तो उसका मतलब क्या है कि हमारे किसानों के लिए क्या प्रोटेक्शन किया आपने? या अगर ट्रम्प साहब कह रहे हैं कि $500 बिलियन भारत खर्च करेंगे, हमारी पूरी इंपोर्ट बिल $700 है, 700 बिलियन है, इसका मतलब क्या है कि दूसरे देशों के अलावा हम सारी चीजें अमेरिका से इंपोर्ट करेंगे? जानना चाहिए बस।
Top government sources have told NDTV that sensitive dairy and agriculture sectors will be protected and that India will continue to prioritize its own people in energy purchases. An NDTV Bureau report.
What the public demanded today was answers and clarity from the government about what the contours of this trade deal look like, because much has been left unsaid, quite honestly. The opposition and Rahul Gandhi had an opportunity to demand specific answers from the government. But then you saw what Rahul Gandhi did in Parliament. So how did the government's response turn out? Take a look for yourself.
ट्रेड डील, जो ट्रेड डील 4 महीने से रुकी हुई थी, 4 महीने से कुछ बदला नहीं। किसी न किसी कारण जो मैं जानता हूं नरेंद्र मोदी जानते हैं। नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने कल शाम उस डील को साइन कर दिया। नरेंद्र मोदी जी पर प्रेशर है, भयंकर प्रेशर है, और नरेंद्र मोदी जी का जो इमेज का गुब्बारा है, जो हजारों करोड़ रुपए लेकर बनाया गया था, वो फूट सकता है।
राहुल गांधी जी को क्या मिर्ची लगती है? राहुल गांधी जी को देश की प्रगति से नफरत है? राहुल गांधी जी को हमारी बहनों से, हमारे युवा युवतियों से कोई नाराजगी है जो उनका उज्जवल भविष्य उनसे देखा नहीं जाता है? उन्होंने जवाब देना पड़ेगा देश की जनता को कि इस नकारात्मक सोच के पीछे वो क्या चाहते हैं। और मित्रों, मैं पूरी तरीके से निंदा करता हूं राहुल गांधी जी और उनके सभी पार्टी और मित्र पक्ष के नेताओं का, जो इस प्रकार की ओछी सोच, नकारात्मक सोच फैलाने का पाप कर रहे हैं। बड़ा दुर्भाग्य है कि राहुल गांधी जैसे नकारात्मक सोच रखने वाले नेता देश को आज गुमराह या भ्रमित करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। मैं घोर निंदा करता हूं राहुल गांधी जी की। झूठ और फरेब के नाम पे वो लोगों को गुमराह करना चाहते हैं। उनको देश की तरक्की से कोई लेना देना नहीं है। देश आगे बढ़ रहा है, विश्व की सबसे तेज गति से बढ़ने वाली अर्थव्यवस्था बना है, उनको उससे कोई दिलचस्पी नहीं है। जिस प्रकार से यूपीए के राज में, कांग्रेस के राज में 10 वर्षों में उन्होंने भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था को ध्वस्त कर दिया था, फ्रेजाइल 5 इकोनॉमी बना दी, महंगाई से लोगों को परेशान कर दिया, विकास यात्रा ठप कर दी, उनका बस चलेगा तो भारत को फिर एक बार उसी प्रकार से देखना चाहेंगे। और मुझे नहीं लगता भारत का एक भी व्यक्ति, एक भी नागरिक उनके इस भ्रामक सोच के साथ अपने आप को जोड़ सकता है।
And here's a quick breakdown of the list of charges that Rahul has put forth. Not a demand for a substantive debate, but the charges that Rahul has put out and how the government has responded. Number one, that there was extreme pressure on the Prime Minister and he has simply bent over backwards. The government's counter, India's interests have been prioritized in this trade deal. Then Rahul Gandhi says, our Prime Minister is compromised. That's why he's been forced into this deal. The government says Rahul is misleading the nation with his lies. Please note, no substance whatsoever in this exchange so far. Rahul's third charge is that Prime Minister has sold the nation to Trump. The government's counter, the Congress has destroyed India's economy. Rahul's charge is the Prime Minister is scared because his image is broken or the image gubbara has burst. The government's counter, the Congress almost signed a free trade agreement with China. Rahul's charge, the Prime Minister has completely surrendered to Trump. The government's counter, the US has to lower tariff. Naturally, they will announce it. The big questions I am asking tonight, viewer, and these are important questions that need to be asked because we are a democracy. The opposition is important. Debate is crucial, especially when it comes to big issues like this trade deals, of which we don't know very much. Number one, is Rahul Gandhi, leader of the opposition, not just an ordinary MP, is he right to say that Prime Minister Modi has surrendered to the United States? Number two, is Rahul Gandhi right to say that the government is scared of him? Number three, is Rahul choosing drama, histrionics, hyperbole, extreme assertions over substance and measure and sobriety, and therefore simply squandering parliament time? Number four, with these extreme assertions, with hyperbole, is Rahul allowing the government off the hook, like you just saw with Minister Piyush Goyal as well? It was a press conference where he largely spent time attacking Rahul Gandhi than talking about the nitty-gritties of the trade deal. Number five, does this relationship breakdown between the government and the opposition negate any meaningful debate? And number 6, by exaggerating claims, is Rahul Gandhi revealing a disconnect with how the public actually feels at this point of time? Let's go straight to our guest tonight on India Matters. Joining me live is Colonel S. Dinny. He's an Indian Army veteran who has served during the Eastern Ladakh standoff. He's a well-known defense analyst and also a spokesperson of the BJP in Kerala, and therefore he wears 2 hats with us tonight. Dr. Akriti Bhatia is an economist and political analyst. Dr. Swasti Rao, professor of the Jindal School of International Affairs, making her first appearance on her show. Dr. Rao, welcome. And I'm going to kick it off with Dr. Anand Ranganathan, best-selling author, commentator, and scientist. Anand, you know, today was an opportunity. Today was an opportunity, in my view, where the many important unanswered questions about a huge trade deal that is potentially a game changer for both countries, that will have an impact on everyone, was simply washed away by, in my view, puerile histrionics. Prime Minister has surrendered. Prime Minister has sold the nation. Prime Minister has bent over backwards for Trump. Prime Minister's image bubble has burst. What did you think? Has the Prime Minister surrendered when we don't even know the details of this trade deal? Anand, to you first.
Good evening, Shiv, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Look, it's not for nothing that I claim that the best placed for millions of Indians to learn about issues is no longer Parliament, but your show. But I like to make 3 points out here. Number 1, the India-US trade deal will be good for India if we do not accept the 3 terms that Trump claims we have accepted. Because making India stop importing Russian oil, 40% of our total oil imports, while committing us to buying $500 billion worth of American energy and tech products, imposing 18% tariffs on Indian goods while at the same time having 0% tariffs on American goods, is a great trade deal for America, not for India. And I'm confident that Modi has not accepted these terms. He will not surrender because he has never surrendered. Look, India continues to buy 36% of our oil imports from Russia despite the 25% tariffs. India has in fact imported 295 million barrels of Russian oil since Trump slapped those sanctions on us. Would you call this surrender? India has saved $26 billion over the past 3.5 years by choosing Russian over Saudi oil, not just because of discounted Russian oil, but also because increasing our procurement of it has lowered oil prices in general, saving us money for the rest of our oil procurement. Without that, our inflation would have risen cumulatively 1.47% beyond its actual level in those years. So Modi has India's interests in mind. It's just that while the devil may be in the detail, I just hope the devil hasn't already given away the details. It is irritating that no one from our government has stood up to the bully and refuted his 3 claims. Even Shishupal wasn't given so much leeway. Silence is a bully's favorite snack. Number 2, look, as a Russian discount gets lesser and lesser and its oil majors and refineries become under sanction, India has to assess the cost-benefit analysis on 2. Number A, if we can get oil cheaper from other sources, we should go for it. And B, the reduction in US tariffs to 18% is going to save us upwards of $25 billion annually. This would be far more than what we were saving from buying Russian oil. Look, in today's world, Shiv, no one is a friend, no one an enemy. Every nation is looking out for his own interests, and so is India. Number 3, finally, this is important about the tariffs. Shiv, you know me, I remain an advocate for free trade. For that is the only way of eradicating poverty and making humanity more prosperous and equal. And so I am fundamentally against tariffs. Non-countervailing CVT tariffs encourage protectionism and license raj. High tariffs result in what they've always resulted in: a socialist trap that ultimately destroys a country's economy through less choice for consumers, outdated technology, increasing friction with countries, and higher prices because of lack of competition and rule of monopoly. Remember Ambassador Cars and Campa Cola? Protectionism is against Darwinian evolution, whose overarching fundamentalist spirit of competition enabling survival of the fittest. So, 30 seconds. I am for having 0 tariffs on American goods. I really am. If there are ask zero tariffs for Indian goods.
Yeah.
The ultimate goal is a level playing field that encourages competition, respects and rewards intellectual property, and gives consumers a choice at reasonable cost. I keep it simple. Number one, we should stop buying Russian oil if we can get that amount of oil cheaper from elsewhere, or the tariff reduction results in greater savings. And two, we should accept zero tariffs on American goods if they accept zero tariffs on Indian goods. Free markets and free trade ultimately is the best arbiter. The choice is between oil or turmoil.
The answers that Anand has just sought and the things that he has just said is precisely what I imagine most of the public would have wanted today from a substantive debate, from Piyush Goyal's press conference, from a potential debate inside Parliament, and yet we only had that democracy has collapsed, the Prime Minister is a coward, the Prime Minister has surrendered to Trump, and once again the government and the ruling party got a delicious full toss to completely divert, latch on to Rahul Gandhi's histrionics and make today about how negative Rahul Gandhi is. And I, as a citizen, feel a little betrayed about that, because since last night when the story broke, we've been asking exactly these questions. Why is there not more clarity from the government? Why aren't some of these questions and points that Trump has placed in his statement being clarified, if they are not true, by the Indian government? These are important to know. Dr. Rao, I want to come to you because, as Anand says, this is a substantive issue, that shouldn't be muddied by loud politics and these very extreme accusations that have muddied the waters, politically speaking. But your understanding of what we know so far, has India surrendered? Has India surrendered, Dr. Rao?
Good evening, Shiv. Thanks for the question. Well, has India surrendered? Surrendered to what? First. And second, what we have done with this positive news, I would say. See, one cannot overstate the fact that a trade deal, even if it is not a deal, even if it is, the terms that are finalized between the world's largest economy and the world's fastest growing economy, that is India, and the largest one, of course, being the US, it is going to be good news for everybody. That's the first thing. Second, the devil is always in the details, and we should wait for the details. But what I'm really appalled with is the manner in which I saw this entire thing getting completely caricaturized. Foreign policy arguments will never prevail unless they are anchored by a strong political foundation. And domestically, this is what we see. We simply don't seem to have the know-how of asking the right questions, of steering the debate in the manner in which it is required.
Yeah.
That is the reason why foreign policy debates become so caricaturized in our country. And what happened today was just a small snippet yet again. I'm all for the opposition that's what the opposition is for. And in fact, anybody in their right minds would be asking the same questions. Okay. I totally agree with Professor Ranganathan when he says that oil or turmoil, of course, it is India would act in India's economic interest. I am more worried about what is the terms that the Americans are saying about their farmers getting a big win. We know that our agriculture sector remains quite protectionist. Not that it's the correct thing to do, but simply because we are not ready as an economy to open that up. It employs more than 42% of our labor force. If a sudden change is made to that, how complicated it can get in a country like India. So long and short, no deal is an ideal deal, and nobody can take it all. There has to be a give and a take. And I think what we should be pressing the government is to come out with those, to come out with those details, and not to sort of, just reduce ourselves to a caricature yet again by making it a mudslinging competition. So I'm very appalled by that.
I couldn't agree with you more. Akriti, coming to you, a caricature of a day when straight questions should have been asked of the government. Instead of, trying to lampoon the Prime Minister and get personal, sharp 5 questions could have been asked to corner the government and say, why aren't you clarifying on what Trump has said?
Right. So, Shiv, straight questions or difficult questions, the point is that you cannot stop anyone, especially the leader of opposition, to pose questions to the government. And that's really not an anti-national activity. That's the most nationalist thing that one could do, especially
that was
when
our debate last night, by the way, where we
security.
agreed with that. Yes.
national security is something which is which the government has to respond to. Find that there is there's no invasion by China, but there have been intrusions of various kinds. We have with us somebody who an expert who can also throw light on it, where we know that the standoff for after 2020, there have been a lot of tensions, there have been some interventions, there have been deployment of forces on the border, slowly advancing towards the border. How do we respond to these things? I'm not saying that this is a surrendering of sorts, but this is a concern, and raising such concerns are not, I would say, are really nationalistic.
I hear what you're saying, Akriti, but you know, the word surrender,
the Trump issue.
The word surrender
Yes.
has been used. It's a military. The word surrender has military connotations. Rahul Gandhi has used the word surrender both in the context of the Eastern Ladakh standoff as well as this trade deal with Trump. Colonel Dinny is someone who...
Just to add,
Yes,
just few days back, the dead economy jibe was actually Trump's words when we were calling him the biggest bully. And we also know how our Honorable Prime Minister has supported Trump and gone for Howdy Modi and many such things. So there has definitely been that hierarchical power play in which the Prime Minister has somewhere lured.
But to call it a surrender, my submission
can have whatever terms, but we need to go behind the intent
that is,
of
but
the
Akriti,
real questions
Akriti,
that we're talking about. The economy is not really as rosy as we see. There are all the rural wages we talk about. We talk about agriculture and farmers.
The point I'm making is that by, like Dr. Rao said, by caricaturing and lampooning the conversation and reducing the level of the conversation, you are giving the government every exit ramp not to engage in an adult and serious manner. The allegation is that India, and Rahul Gandhi and the Congress have said this, that the Chinese have come in and lots of territory has been grabbed and we've surrendered to the Chinese as well. Colonel Dinny, sitting here, had joined the BJP after he left service. He has been a soldier first. He's commanded a unit on the line of actual control. He's fought the Chinese. So I'm going to ask him that question straight, because this is what the Congress and the Rahul Gandhi are suggesting now. Colonel Dinny, has India surrendered to the Chinese? Did the Indian army surrender to the Chinese?
Not at all, Shiv. I think from day one, we have been discussing this. This is a battle of narratives which the Chinese desperately want, since the time this conflict started, that India has surrendered, Indian troops have surrendered. And somehow, unfortunately, our own people here have a kind of, given a push to that particular narrative. Yesterday also we saw that. I frankly didn't understand what was the entire controversy about. You have a book which has not been published. You pick up a line from there and you say that, okay, aap jo uchit samjho wo karo. I mean, how can somebody object to that? I, as a military commander, Shiv, and I'm sure people watching this will agree, whether it's the section commander, right till northern command, army commander level, the greatest, order or a command which a military commander can get is please do what you deem it as fit in a combat situation. That is the ultimate respect and ultimate faith which a person above you has to say that you do whatever you find it fit to do. Now, when somebody of a political hierarchy gives you that, I mean, that is the ultimate operational freedom you can get. So what is the controversy about? I didn't understand that. Secondly, India was not going for a war there. There was a situation already there. In that situation, the situation has evolved into what the PLA tanks and all moving. Now, naturally, a decision was given that you do whatever is best. And that's what they did. General Naravane and General Joshi and people like him, all, right up to the company commanders, they did exactly that. Yeah. And in a few days' time, we know how we turn the tables. So people on ground know what to do. The people at the top knew that they knew, and they gave the orders. Now, there was a question that 2 hours people were not available. Yeah. I mean, I have been in combat operations, Shiv. Now, the Prime Minister of our country is not sitting in the operations room of Northern Command or operations room of the Military Operations Directorate. He is, and he's not, going through the operations day, every day, minute by minute. So 2 hours is nothing compared to be given a decision. We all know in a combat situation, time is, of course, important. But within 2 hours, if somebody is given a decision that you please do whatever you feel deem fit, I don't understand what is the big deal about it.
Yeah.
Will the Prime Minister come and tell you to go for attack, or do from this move a right flank and then left flank? No. He is supposed to give a political decision, and he's done that. So the entire 2 days of discussion, as you rightly said, the Parliament was a place where all these questions could have been asked about this trade deal, and so many other issues could have been asked, and that's what Mr. Goyal also has come out and said we could have answered that in the Parliament, provided the Parliament was allowed to function. I feel that there was a paucity of ideas. There was actually poverty of ideas and of agendas, due to which they resorted to this. Ultimately, what happened? Nothing happened.
Yeah.
And the questions which are supposed to be asked in Parliament were not asked.
No, that is precisely the point, Anand. And the deterioration of the atmosphere and the sort of dynamic between the ruling party and the opposition has reached such a historic low that even a normal conversation can't happen. Rahul Gandhi returned to Parliament today, and I'm harping on Rahul Gandhi because he's leader of the opposition. When he's around, nobody else speaks from the opposition benches. He brought back the issue of General Naravane's book. General Naravane, who himself is on record to say India did not surrender to the Chinese and in fact, gave them a bloody nose and fought them back, valiantly. And yet this narrative that India has somehow surrendered to the Chinese the government must answer for it. Anand.
Absolutely. And this is why I say that he is working for BJP's interest. The BJP loves to take a full toss from Rahul Gandhi. In fact, the truth is that the BJP was really worried when Rahul Gandhi was convicted, because they thought that who is going to do prachar for them. But on a serious note, it would have taken less than 30 seconds for Rahul Gandhi to ask 2 probing questions to the government. Number one, is it or is it not a fact that Trump has said that he is going to have US agricultural goods without any tariffs when they enter India? Is it true or not? Just this, 10 seconds. And the other is, are you going to listen to Trump and say you are going to stop Russian oil imports, yes or no? It's taken me 30 seconds. Why couldn't it take Rahul Gandhi 30 seconds? But no. Because he wants controversy, he wants House adjourned, he wants people rushing to the well of the House, he wants out that hullabaloo. This is the tragedy, Shiv.
Dr. Rao, on the issue of China, and Anand has just incredibly, in 15 seconds, he's listed the questions that could have been asked. And this adds to the point that you said about how the conversation is so caricatured. The normal straight questions have completely got drowned out, because in one sense, our political battlefield has just gotten used to drama. It doesn't know what life is like as, when things are actually normal and sober anymore. But, you're a strategic affairs analyst. You look at defense also very closely. Dr. Rao, so it's a very straight question. Has India surrendered to China, as Rahul Gandhi and the opposition is suggesting?
No, well, I mean, there is absolutely, by no stretch of imagination can one argue that India surrendered to China. The border question we have is a fairly complex one. What happened in 2020 was extremely unfortunate. And I think while on the one hand, we should welcome General Naravane's book, because I'm sure it is going to give us a very different and a very lively account of what really happened straight from the horse's mouth. I mean, that's a completely different issue altogether. But again, to learn how to ask the right questions. I mean, to ask the right questions on, for example, what kind of money are we finally spending on capital procurement? Yeah. Is the hike enough? Why is it that we are still not reached 2.5% of GDP? Why is it that China has about 1,000 spy satellites over us and helped Pakistan the manner in which it did? And why is it that while we are doubling down on our efforts with ISRO, why is it that we did not really invest in satellite communication and radars and so on? So these are the questions that I think should be asked. There is no dearth of really, knowledgeable people and knowledgeable experts. And I think politicians should sort of take a cue from there instead of making it a mudslinging match, because ultimately then the nation stands to lose. I think what has happened generally, and I've written about it, what Donald Trump has done is that Donald Trump has made debate, wasting time and international hobby, because he would say something and he would say something volcanic and he would say something that probably he doesn't even mean, and the entire world is going to be discussing it. In a similar vein, if not exactly, this is what is happening in India. I mean, every time we have a genuine set of questions in front of us, perhaps the discussion or the level of discussion is just so out of sync and out of place that, frankly, one really is left wondering as to where is all the political, maturity gone. And I think as a nation, we have much to do. I think the right questions, and just coming back and just, adding one more thing to this entire US-India deal debate, I think we have to understand it is still in making. And second, I think the real question there is that what is it that India can do to up its manufacturing? I mean, one of our biggest challenges is that in 2014-15, when we got the Make in India PLI schemes, right, the idea was to up manufacturing by 25%, 25% of GDP. While what we have seen is that while the GDP has grown, but manufacturing in proportion to GDP has dropped. So, I mean, unless we do that, there is no China plus one diversification happening. Unless there's no China plus one diversification happening, unless the investments are not coming to India, frankly, the more we export to the West, the more we'll end up importing from China. So this way or that, that dependence is continuing. Second, even let's also understand, China is a very different beast. Just as United States and Europe and these countries are trying to de-risk from China, you know that China today has about 34-35% tariffs, right? While India has 18% now. So China has already been de-risking from the European and the Western markets, and China has been focusing more on Southeast Asia, Central Asia, and Turkey and so on. So even via that channel, basically we have to make sure that China doesn't, we don't land in the situation where China is dumping.
I just want to say that between Dr. Rao and Anand, the both of you have asked more questions that deserve to be asked by a sober opposition than the opposition has perhaps asked in the last 5 years. I am not exaggerating. I don't exaggerate, and I'm not even complimenting the both of you. The both of you are academics, way more than me. But the both of you have just listed questions in a very clinical manner that I would have loved to see answered. Anand, you want to add to what Dr. Rao said?
Yes, no, I mean, Dr. Rao's, asked such probing questions that I just need to give one answer to just one of the ones when she talks about, what are we going to do in the future? And this is such a difficult question to answer. I'll tell you why. Now, the world, we've opened ourselves to the world. We've signed, I think, 8, this would have been the 9th FTA in the last 5 years. Unless we get competitive, we are going to be ruined. Because the world is going to buy Indian goods only if the Indian goods are better or as good as the other goods that other countries of the world are producing. Now, what would make us competitive? Reforms. And who is stifling the process of reforms? It's the opposition. Who is against privatization? It is the opposition. Who was against the farm laws, even though they were there verbatim in their manifesto? It was the Congress and the opposition. So every time, I know the government is cowardly because it shouldn't worry about what the opposition does. But the fact is, it's a candle burning at both ends. One end is the opposition burning it, and the other end is the government burning it. And still we believe that we need to unshackle private sector. We have 69,000 compliances. An MSc, MA, ME that hires 150 people on average spends 18 lakhs per year in compliances. How on earth are we going to benefit with all these FTAs if we are not competitive? These are the questions Rahul Gandhi must answer and ask.
I am the kind of person, and Anand will agree with me, who is almost on a daily basis expecting some kind of a contempt notice by various courts around the country. Tomorrow I might get a breach of privilege notice from Parliament as well. But I am going to say this today on the show, that the things that have been said today have been more substantive than maybe the last 5 Parliament sessions put together. The points that have been raised by all 4 of you, let me say, have been more substantive than the last 5 Parliament sessions put together. And I'm actually proud that it has happened on my show. But Akriti, this is true. This is true. This is what the conversation should be looking like. And it does matter. And mind you that each day of Parliament business costs 6 crore rupees of the Indian taxpayers' money is simply squandered when questions like these can be asked. Even the questions that you're mentioning, Akriti, the way that you are framing them, that's the way to ask them. That's the way the conversation is supposed to happen. 24 hours after Trump dropped that message we are still nowhere nearer to understanding what this trade deal is about.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, we need to ask this very, very sternly in terms of what those terms and conditions would be. What are the limitations of, what are the exemptions? We don't know really where is it going and on what kind of, this 18% slab is also something which sounds conditional on many things. So those are absolutely not clear. With respect to what Anandji had mentioned regarding farm laws and privatization, I think the post 2014, we've seen a lot of unchecked privatization with respect to recruitment, railways, defense. You name the sector and we'll have it, and which shows that how the inequalities have risen to an extent where outsourcing, jobs, everything has really the insecurity in general. India might be looking that it is prospering, but average Indians are not, and that's something that that these questions have been raised. It's not that they're not being raised. Secondly, they're not being, the worst thing that you look at is they're not being allowed to raise it. You're actually stopping them to raise it, and then the making the government accountable, making the ruling government accountable is the task of every citizen, the media, each one of us. So why is it that we're making the opposition always accountable? That why are you not able to make them accountable? These questions are actually something that have to be raised by the civil society, the ruling the opposition government, of course the LOP, and all the experts, and the government has to answer these.
But Akriti, like Anand said,
everything is hunky dory.
Like Anand said, Rahul Gandhi and sections of the opposition are more interested in the drama. They want papers to be thrown. They want the halla in the parliament. Because that is a more comforting kind of dynamic than sitting and asking real questions and putting the government on the map.
The dramatic
that is the painful point of our reality.
The ruling government is excellent in it. So political rhetoric goes on. It's the task of experts, policymakers like Dr. Rao mentioned, and the media houses to also constantly raise these questions.
We do.
And of course.
And I think you're missing a point I'm making, Akriti. I'm making a point that you may have missed. I am saying this government and this ruling party, they are past masters at rhetoric. They are past masters at, saying things and diverting the situation and jumping onto other issues. I am simply saying that Rahul Gandhi is giving them that opportunity on a platter. Anand, you wanted to quickly add to that? Then I'll end with Colonel Dinny.
No, I think great points made by, Akriti ji. But with due respect, I like to say, I think catharsis for everyone would come if we actually genuinely accept that, yes, this government has done a lot of wrongs, but it has also done something spectacular over the last 11 years. I mean, you talked about people are getting poorer. Our GDP per capita has doubled, Akriti ji, over the last 10 years. We have literally pulled 270 million people out of abject poverty. And when you talked about inequality, India right now, the Gini coefficient is 0.25, the lowest ever. So there are some good things that this government has done. And if the opposition were to acknowledge it, I think it would go a long way in people trusting the opposition when it criticizes the ruling party.
Colonel Dinny, I'm going to end with you because I'm almost out of time. Do you believe that the opportunity to have a substantive debate on national security, on Eastern Ladakh, where you fought and where you defended Indian territory, that opportunity has been squandered now? There's no space for a measured debate on this crucial issue because the opposition says India has surrendered, we've lost, China has occupied our territory.
Absolutely, Shiv. I think that what every other panelist mentioned, there was enough of questions which could have been answered, question asked, and definitely it would have been answered also. There is no question that nobody will not answer the questions in Parliament. But what I feel is that there is no place where you can hide incompetence, Shiv. Especially in the Parliament, and Parliament is a place where whatever you have, whatever your background, whatever your understanding of an issue comes to the fore, because there's no hiding. Today, the leader of the opposition was asking whether I should address him as chairperson or speaker. Now, these are things which it's a very minute thing. But what I'm trying to tell you is there is no dearth of talent in the opposition. There's no dearth of talent, but they are being silenced because of one particular family, one particular leader, he wants to dominate. And that is the sad part. There are enough of people, enough of talent in international affairs, in trade, in economy, whatever field there, who can ask these questions. But unfortunately, as I said, there is incompetence at the top, and the person who's at the top, if he's incompetent, he's insecure as well. So he will not allow the Parliament House to function, and that is the sad state of our democracy in the last 10 to 11 years now.
I'm going to end the debate here tonight, but all I want to say is that I hope all of the parties, ruling and opposition, watch today's show. I'm going to send the link out to all of them. They will have more than enough research and ideas on what the conversation really needs to look like. I'm illuminated myself. So I thank all of you. Dr. Swasti Rao, your first appearance in the show. Anand, my good friend. Akriti, my good friend. Colonel Dini, my good friend. Hoping to see you all back here on the show very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Anand?
Yeah, don't worry about the privilege motion. As far as I'm concerned, a privilege motion is one that is brought about by the best ISAB goal.
Okay, let's not tempt Parliament on this front. But thank you very much for being with me tonight and your time here on India Matters. The Modi-Trump double engine has announced a landmark US-India trade deal. Many things have been said about the trade deal. We are still awaiting a full detailed statement from both sides about what the trade deal's contours actually look like. And until then, we can only speculate. What we can be clear about is that Modi and Trump have achieved this. There have been geopolitical ups and downs, lots of frictions between India and the United States over the last couple of months. But the personalities of these two leaders, Modi and Trump, have played no small part in achieving what many people thought would take many, many more months, if not at least a year. Joining me live now from the United States is Asha Jadeja Motwani. She's a well-known venture capitalist, a Republican fundraiser, and someone who has spoken several times about how these things actually work out, the relationship between Modi and Trump, and how India and the United States have navigated these troubled waters. Asha ji, welcome. Good to see you here on NDTV. Your first words, Ms. Motwani, about how you think this was finally achieved. Most people thought, it's going to take a while for it to come, and then finally out of nowhere it landed.
So, Shiv, first thing I want to do is correct the word fundraiser. I'm not a fundraiser, I'm a donor. I'm the fourth largest donor in the country to the Republican Party, and therefore have significant sort of friendship in the circles, in the Republican circles. Well, so question, Shiv, your question was, tell me more. What was repeat the question again, please?
Tell us how both these personalities, Modi and Trump, how did they get through all the frictions and arrive finally at this trade deal?
Well, first of all, it's in the self-interest of both the countries to arrive at this deal that we have. And this is something that was already in the works. I've been talking about this on Indian media, to the Indian media, about saying that we were 95% there. This was expected at least for those of us who are in the inner circles in the White House. For us, it was expected that February was when it was going to happen. I'm surprised, actually, I'm pleasantly surprised that it happened so fast and so early in February. And but the reason, I wouldn't say that there was any reason why this had to happen, and if there was any major factor that rushed the matter or anything like that. I think it was just something that was already in the works. And now that Sergio Gore is in India, there is an ambassador in place, and he was face to face daily working with Prime Minister Modi and with Piyush Goyal. I knew that this was going to happen in February. The fact that it happened so early in February is a bit of a surprise for me, but this is excellent news for both the countries. And what I strongly recommend for your viewers, Shiv, is that we ignore the political noise. Rahul and all are irrelevant people right now. What matters is that two largest democracies of the world, two of the most powerful countries of the world, have struck a deal and have openly now declared a friendship that is going to be, that's not just 25 years old, but for another 25 years is going to be only on the upward and strong. Yeah. So celebrate and ignore the political noise.
Ms. Motwani, but it's been a roller coaster ride getting to this point. there have been several phone calls between the two leaders. I know you've been a very powerful advocate of keeping that communication line open. Thankfully, that phone line has been, hasn't gone cold. And, last night the two leaders had a half-hour phone call apparently before that message actually dropped from the White House. What would that call have been like? Because the message from Trump was very, very affectionate, calling Modi one of his closest friends, calling him a loved and respected leader. What do these conversations look like, Ms. Motwani?
Listen, for Trump, as we all know, Trump has a specific style now. Right, his style is first announce, scary things, okay, like a tariff or saying we are going to punish this for that and things like that. What that does is immediately brings people to the table. Now he has realized, I think, that this didn't work for India. India has actually been, I must say, resolute in its position about saying, we will do this on India time. And not be pushed into doing it according to certain other international imperatives. So that's one good thing actually. And but I think what these phone conversations typically are like especially between Trump and Modi are these, and I'm sure you'll see a readout of this sooner or later. But these conversations typically are between because the chemistry between two of them is so good, and because the both of the nations recognize the importance of each other, irrespective of what other deals we are striking with Europe and so on. Because both countries recognize the importance of each other, these conversations are always positive. They're driven by Trump's agenda on one hand. Trump's agenda, of course, is that Indians buy oil from US and from Venezuela, which is pretty much now US oil, so that's one thing. On the Indian side, the agenda always has been how do we strike a better deal for agricultural sector and stuff like that. I think both got what they wanted and struck a deal. So it's these conversations tend to be excellent between Trump and Modi. Even Modi had excellent chemistry with President Biden. So when we get the readout, you will see that these calls are absolutely positive. By the way, now I would say you will see a little bit more of a focus happening on geopolitics also, in the sense that we already saw in the MEA budget no mention of Chabahar port. Yeah. So if US is going to be doing something in Iran, if there's going to be friction there, we will India has taken a proactive step of saying, look, we are fully paid on the Chabahar port, and so we are not sending any more money. So I think in that sense also, I think we are playing our geopolitics right. I'm thrilled that Jaishankar is here. Dr. Jaishankar is in the US right now working on the critical minerals deal. You will see, Shiv, my guess, and I'm not privy to anything, but my guess right now is that we will see more deals happening on defense. Because US is going to be playing a significant role in defense in the Middle East and perhaps even the Indo-Pacific. This was a huge bottleneck. It has been solved. We should be doing nothing but celebrating in India right now. So ignore the political noise of the opposition and really just open your champagne bottle.
All right, Asha Jadeja Motwani, thank you very much for your time here on NDTV. And we hear that President Trump and Prime Minister Modi will meet sooner rather than later. Their next summit is probably already in the planning phases right now. So we'll be moving towards that as well. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care.
Well, that's it on India Matters. I'll see you at the same time tomorrow. Thanks for watching. The buck stops here with Padmaja as well.